All right, so you're thinking about a Thailand trip in 2025. Maybe you've already got those beaches and temples pictured in your head.
It's hard not to dream about those, right?
Seriously. But before you book those flights, there's something we got to talk about: visas.
Ah, visas, the not so glamorous part of travel planning.
Yeah, but super important though. And guess what? The rules are changing in 2025.
Yeah.
So we've got this whole stack of sources.
Fresh off the press. And
Yep, all the latest info. So we can help you navigate all these changes.
It's actually pretty fascinating how Thailand's trying to balance things. They want to make travel easier, especially as they bounce back from, the pandemic slump.
Right. Got to get those tourists back.
Exactly. But at the same time, they need to keep things secure. So it's kind of like this puzzle they're putting together.
And we're here to help you solve it.
Exactly. We're going to connect all the dots for you.
So first up, let's talk about visa exemptions. There's some good news here. A bunch of countries are getting a longer visa-free stay.
Yeah, we're talking 60 days instead of the usual 30.
Double the time. So that's awesome for a lot of travelers. I mean, think about it. US, UK, Canada.
A lot of European countries, too.
And get this, even Cuba and San Marino are on the list.
Yeah, those are some unexpected ones.
Right. So 2 whole months to soak up all that Thai goodness. But hold on, there's a bit of a catch.
There's always a catch, isn't there?
Right.
Yeah.
So tell us about this new ETA thing.
Okay, so this is the Electronic Travel Authorization, or ETA for short, and it's going to be mandatory for anyone who's visa exempt, probably by mid-2025.
So even though you don't need a full visa, you'll still need to get this ETA approved beforehand.
Yep, think of it like that ESTA thing for the US. It's kind of like a pre-approval step.
Makes sense. So it's an extra step, but it might make things smoother at the airport.
That's the idea. Anyway, let's move on to the Visa on Arrival, or VOA as it's commonly known.
Ah, yes, the VOA. Is that still an option?
It is. It's still around. But it's gone through some changes, too. It's been expanded to include more countries.
Oh, so more people can use it now.
Yep. And some of those countries even get a 60-day stay instead of the usual 15.
Wow, so even with the VOA, you might get that 2-month stay.
Exactly. But there's something else you should know about the VOA. It's notorious for long lines.
Yeah, I've heard stories.
So just be prepared to wait a bit if you're going that route. But here's where things get really interesting.
I'm intrigued.
Tell me more. Okay, so there's some hints from our sources that the VOA might change again, as this new ETA rolls out.
So more changes on the horizon.
It's all a bit up in the air right now, but it might mean that the VOA will stay for some nationalities and disappear for others.
So it's a wait-and-see situation.
Exactly. We'll have to keep an eye on it.
Okay, so we've covered the visa exemptions and the VOA. But what about those travelers who need to stay in Thailand longer than what those options allow?
Well, for those folks, there's always the classic tourist visa.
The tried and true option.
Right. And the good news is that the e-visa is becoming more common.
So less paperwork.
Exactly.
Yeah.
23 countries can now apply for a tourist visa completely online.
That's pretty awesome.
And get this, 59 consulates have gone fully digital.
Wow, so they only accept e-visa applications now.
Yep. It's clear that Thailand's really pushing for more digital stuff.
Makes sense, though.
Yeah.
Right. It's faster, less paperwork, less hassle.
Exactly. But don't worry, if your country's not on the e-visa list, you can still go the old-fashioned route.
So you can still apply through the embassy or consulate.
Exactly. Just be prepared for a bit more paperwork.
Got it. So we've got options for short stays and longer stays. But what about those people who are thinking about, really living the Thai dream?
Ah, yes, the long-termers.
The ones who want to make Thailand their home.
Well, for them, there's the retirement visa.
A classic.
Yeah, it's still a popular choice.
Yeah.
But you got to make sure you meet the financial requirements.
So prove you can support yourself.
Exactly. But now there's this new kid on the block, the digital nomad visa.
Ooh, tell me more about this one.
Okay, so this visa is designed for remote workers, freelancers, people who can work from anywhere.
So basically anyone with a laptop and a good internet connection.
Pretty much. And it's a pretty sweet deal.
How so?
Well, you get a 5-year stay with multiple entries.
5 years. That's a long time.
It is. And you can stay for up to 180 days each time.
So almost half the year. That's amazing.
And here's the best part. Your spouse and kids are covered too.
Whoa, that's a game changer for families.
Right. It's like Thailand saying, hey, come live and work here. We're open for business.
It's a pretty enticing offer. But Thailand's not the only country trying to attract digital nomads.
True. The competition is fierce.
So Thailand's really got to step up its game.
Exactly. And these visa changes are definitely a step in the right direction.
So they're making it easier to visit, to work, to live in Thailand. but they're also getting serious about security.
Right. And one of the ways they're doing that is by cracking down on overstaying.
Yeah, that's a big no-no.
Big time. The fines are hefty, and you could even get banned from Thailand.
Ouch. That's not a risk worth taking.
No, not at all. And don't even think about trying to pay your way out of it.
Because it'll come back to bite you later.
Exactly. The rules are the rules, even in paradise. So true. So, we talked about the good stuff, the extended visa exemptions, the new digital nomad visa. But there are also these changes to keep in mind, like the new ETA and the crackdown on overstaying.
Right. It's all about balance.
Exactly. Making things easier for travelers, but also keeping things in check.
It'll be interesting to see how all of these changes play out in the long run.
Absolutely. But for now, we've armed you with all the latest info.
So you can plan your Thailand trip with confidence.
And speaking of confidence, let's talk about something that could totally revolutionize the way we travel.
Oh, this is a good one.
And get this, passport-free exits at major airports in Thailand.
Wait, what? Passport free? How's that even possible?
I know, right? It sounds crazy, but it's actually happening. We'll tell you all about it in our next segment.
Stay tuned. This is going to blow your mind. So this passport free exit thing,
Yeah.
it's not just talk, it's actually up and running.
Seriously, like right now.
As of December 2024, they rolled it out at 6 major airports. 6 airports. Okay, that's impressive. Which ones are we talking about?
Well, obviously, Suvarnabhumi and Don Muang in Bangkok.
Makes sense. Those are the big ones.
Right. And then you've got Chiang Mai.
Oh, up north?
Yep. Then Ma Pha Luang, Phuket, and Hat Yai.
So basically all the major entry points for international travelers.
Exactly. They're covering all the bases.
Okay, I'm full on the where, but how does it actually work?
Well, you've got a couple of options. Let's say you get to the airport and check in like you normally would. But instead of handing your passport over at the counter, you scan your boarding pass and look into a camera.
Kind of like a high-tech version of showing your ID.
Exactly. The system matches your face to your travel data, and boom, you're good to go.
No more passport stamping.
Not at that stage, nope.
Slick.
Okay.
Okay, so that's one way. What's the other option?
You can actually skip the check-in counter entirely.
How?
You do everything online before you even leave for the airport.
Oh, so you get your boarding pass online, and then what?
You scan it and go through the facial recognition thing right from your phone or computer.
So you're basically pre-cleared before you even get to the airport.
Exactly. When you arrive, you can head straight to security.
Wow, that's amazing. Talk about a time saver.
Thailand's really stepping up its travel game with this technology.
It's pretty mind-blowing. But this whole passport-free thing is only for departures, right?
For now, yeah. You still need your passport to enter Thailand.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing they're working on that too.
You bet. They're already testing facial recognition for arrivals.
So maybe someday soon, we'll be waltzing through immigration without even showing our passports.
It's not out of the realm of possibility. Thailand is really pushing the boundaries.
It's incredible how quickly things are changing.
Yeah.
But with any new technology, especially something like facial recognition, there are always concerns.
Oh, absolutely. Privacy is a big one.
Exactly. People want to know where their information is going, who's seeing it, how it's being used.
Right. Those are valid concerns. And then there are the practical questions, too. Like, what if someone's appearance has changed drastically since their passport photo was taken?
Yeah, like if they've had surgery or grown a beard.
Exactly. Or what if the system glitches? There are bound to be some hiccups along the way.
It's definitely a whole new world we're entering.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's exciting to see these advancements and how they're shaping the future of travel.
Okay, let's shift gears back to visas for a sec.
Hmm.
We were talking about the Destination Thailand Visa, or DTV, earlier.
The digital nomad visa.
The one and only. It sounds like a dream come true for remote workers.
It is pretty fantastic if you think about it. A 5-year stay with 6-month visits each time. That's a pretty sweet deal.
It is. And it seems like Thailand's really trying to attract digital nomads.
Oh, definitely. They're recognizing the value that digital nomads bring to the economy.
That's a win-win, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Digital nomads get to live and work in this amazing country. And Thailand benefits from their spending and, the positive exposure they bring.
But let's be real. There could be some downsides too, right?
Well, yeah. There's always the potential for challenges, like what happens if there's a sudden influx of remote workers?
Could put a strain on resources.
Exactly. Housing costs could go up. There might be more pressure on infrastructure.
It's like that saying, too much of a good thing.
Right. And then there's the whole cultural impact to consider.
How so?
Well, when you have a lot of foreigners coming in, it can change the dynamics of a place.
It's a delicate balance.
It is. Thailand wants to attract tourists and digital nomads, But they also want to preserve their culture and way of life.
It's not just about attracting visitors, it's about doing it in a way that's sustainable and responsible.
Exactly.
Hmm.
You want to make sure that tourism benefits everyone involved, both the locals and the visitors.
Okay, so we've talked about the DTV, which is great for long-term stays. But what about those who aren't quite ready to make that kind of commitment? The retirement visa is still a solid option, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Especially for those who are 50 and over and looking to enjoy their golden years.
So what are the main requirements for the retirement visa?
Well, you need to have a certain amount of money in a Thai bank account.
Hmm.
And you have to prove that you have a steady income.
So basically, show them that you can support yourself financially.
Exactly. They want to make sure you're not going to be a burden on the system.
Makes sense. And it seems like the retirement visa is a good fit for those who are financially secure and looking for a more relaxed lifestyle.
Exactly. It's a chance to really immerse yourself in Thai culture, enjoy the beautiful weather, and explore all that Thailand has to offer.
Speaking of exploring, let's circle back to the visa exemption for a moment. We talked about that new two-stamp limit for land border crossings.
Ah, yes, the infamous two-stamp rule.
So why do you think Thailand implemented this change?
Well, it seems like they're trying to crack down on those visa runs.
Where people just pop over to a neighboring country and come right back to reset their visa.
Exactly. It was getting a bit out of hand. And it wasn't really in the spirit of the visa exemption.
Right. The visa exemption is meant for short visits, not for extending your stay indefinitely.
Exactly. So this new rule is a way for Thailand to regain some control over who's coming and going.
And to encourage people to get the right visa if they're planning a longer stay.
Exactly. It's all about maintaining a balance.
Okay, so for those who are planning a shorter trip, the visa exemption or the VOA are still good options, but it's important to be aware of the new rules.
Absolutely. And don't forget about the ETA. That's going to be a game changer for a lot of travelers.
All right, the electronic travel authorization. It's going to be mandatory for visa-exempt travelers by mid-2025.
So it's something to keep in mind as you're planning your trip.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but there's one more development that we absolutely have to talk about.
Oh, and what's that?
Biometric technology at Thai airports.
Facial recognition?
The one and only. It's already being used at Suvarnabhumi Airport in Bangkok.
No way, seriously?
Seriously. And it's going to be expanding to other airports soon.
So we're talking about walking through immigration without even showing our passports.
It might sound like science fiction, but it's becoming a reality.
Wow, Thailand's really taking things to the next level.
They are. We'll delve into all the details in our next segment.
Stay tuned, folks. Things are about to get really interesting.
All right, let's dive into this biometric technology you mentioned. Facial recognition at airports. It sounds like something straight out of a movie.
It does, doesn't it? But it's actually already happening. They started testing it out at Suvarnabhumi Airport in Bangkok back in December 2024.
So they're already using it. That's pretty wild.
Yep. They're piloting the system for immigration processing, and they're planning to expand it to other airports, too.
So how does this whole thing actually work? Do you just walk up to immigration and they scan your face?
Pretty much. When you get to immigration, there are these special kiosks with cameras. You look into the camera, and it captures your facial biometrics.
And then what?
The system compares your face to the info on your passport, which you also have to scan at the kiosk.
So you still need your passport.
For now, yeah, it's still your main travel document. But the facial recognition is an extra layer of security, and it makes things more efficient.
I can see how that would speed things up. No more waiting in those long lines at immigration.
Exactly. And it makes it harder for people to use fake passports or travel documents.
So it's good for security, too.
Definitely. But of course, with any new technology, there are always concerns, especially when it comes to something like facial recognition.
Yeah, like privacy. People are worried about their information being misused.
Rightfully so. But Thailand's immigration authorities have been pretty clear about how they're handling the data.
So what are they doing to protect people's privacy?
Well, they're encrypting all the data and storing it securely, and they're saying it'll only be used for immigration purposes.
It's good to hear. But what about practical issues? Like, what if someone's appearance has changed a lot since their passport photo?
That's a good question. The technology is pretty advanced these days. It can usually account for things like aging, hairstyles, facial hair, that sort of thing.
So it's pretty smart.
Yeah, but if there have been really big changes, like plastic surgery or something, you should probably let the immigration officer know. They can check things manually.
That makes sense. So it sounds like they're really thinking about all the angles here.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to be thoughtful about how they roll out this technology.
It's definitely exciting to see these kinds of advancements.
It is. It's like we're stepping into the future of travel.
So we've talked about a ton of changes today. New visa rules, new technology. It's a lot to keep track of.
It is, but the bottom line is that Thailand wants you to visit.
They're making it easier for short trips, luring in the digital nomads.
But they're also tightening up security, going digital. It's a real balancing act.
It's all about finding that sweet spot, attracting visitors while also protecting the country and its culture.
Exactly. And honestly, it's fascinating to see how these changes will shape the future of Thailand. Will it become the hotspot for digital nomads?
Will tourism boom even bigger? And how will the locals feel about it all?
Lots to think about.
It is. We've given you the facts, but the story is still being written.
And that's what makes it so exciting.
Absolutely. So keep exploring, keep dreaming, and get ready for some amazing adventures in Thailand.